Hi everyone, my name is Tumi Sotire, also known as the Black Dyspraxic. I was diagnosed with dyspraxia at the age of 4, and I'm here to talk to you about all things dyspraxia and how it may occur with autism. Some of you may have heard of dyspraxia or not really understand what dyspraxia is. If that's the case, this video is for you. Dyspraxia, also known as developmental coordination disorder, is often characterized by challenges with gross and fine motor skills. When we talk about fine motor skills, we're often talking about challenges with doing buttons and cutlery, using cutlery or tying shoelaces. Gross motor skills is often larger movements such as running, dancing, etc. Dyspraxia affects how the brain plans, organizes and carries out movement and actions. But here's where people get it wrong. Dyspraxia affects coordination, yes, but it also affects memory, time management, executive functioning skills, organization, anxiety, depression and other mental health conditions, and also social interactions. And it also just takes a lot of energy just to navigate life. Dyspraxia affects 1 in 20 people. So that's the prevalence of roughly 5%, of approximately 5%. But yeah, a lot of people don't really understand what dyspraxia is. And most importantly, it's important to remember that people do not grow out of dyspraxia. Like autism, it persists in adulthood. So in children, a child with dyspraxia may struggle with handwriting. And so when we talk about handwriting, this may be the pace of handwriting, ensuring that handwriting is neat, so making sure that as they draw, all the colors are within the image. They can also struggle with tying shoelaces, dressing up independently, or carrying out instructions that have multiple steps. A child with dyspraxia may often struggle with picking up physical skills, and this means that physical activity could be difficult and they may shy away from PE lessons, for example. So here's the thing. Educators may see these signs, and because a child is autistic, they could just assume that these are part of the autistic symptoms and characteristics. But this is not the case. Slow handwriting can be assumed for laziness. Poor organization can be labeled as just being careless. And clumsiness can be assumed just by observing a child's awkward movements or challenges in taking part of physical activity. Difficulties in carrying out instructions may be regarded as non-compliance, and avoiding physical activities in PE and group behavior can be seen as just not wanting to take part in the school day. So this can be seen as poor behavior or disengagement. These assumptions are inaccurate. What is actually happening is the child is working so much harder to carry out these functions just simply because of the way their brain is wired. They can hear instructions but still struggle to carry out the sequences. They want to join in activities but struggle to keep up physically, especially when compared to their peers. This is not attitude, this is neurology. And when it's unrecognized, unnamed, it can really have a detrimental effect on a child's confidence. And the child begins to internalize the issue, thinking that they are the problem themselves. I know this personally. As I mentioned before, dyspraxia persists in adulthood. We are talking about challenges of organization skills, time management, multitasking, financial management, managing busy and demanding environments, executive functioning skills, difficulty driving, difficulty with skills like cycling, for example, and maintaining routine. So this can make having relationships, being in employment, independent living, and managing your psychological well-being a lot harder. And this could potentially mean that a significant number of people may go on throughout their lives with dyspraxia not identified, without realizing that their daily activities just take more effort than other people. Oftentimes, dyspraxia co-occurs with autism. Many autistic individuals could have dyspraxic traits but not meet the full criteria or the full threshold for DCD. Motor coordination difficulties, challenges with handwriting, issues with planning or carrying out executive function skills can be all part of challenges with dyspraxia. This can build a picture of someone that you are supporting or helping, even if nobody has used the word dyspraxia to describe it yet. When both dyspraxia and autism are present, needs and support becomes layered. What looks like carelessness may be genuine difficulties with motor planning. Not every challenge or difficulty can be assumed to be autism. It's important to look at the whole person rather than looking at one label or one diagnostic characteristic. When we do this can lead to better support. I want to say something personally that I believe really matters in this conversation. Like other neurodivergent conditions, dyspraxia doesn't affect everybody equally. And access to identification and support is not equal as well. For people who are from marginalized backgrounds such as ethnic minorities, challenges with dyspraxia often compound because dyspraxia intersects with other marginalized identities. And these intersecting identities provide layers of disadvantage. For example, black children are more likely to be misread, mislabeled, and just missed altogether. Cultural assumptions about behavior and attitudes and ability can get in the way of early identification and support. And if that is your experience or your child's experience, you are not making it up. These are structural barriers and they need to be named for what they are, and they deserve to be addressed. The good news is, with the right support, dyspraxic adults and children can absolutely thrive. Occupational therapy can be absolutely transformative for individuals with dyspraxia. Practical support, like breaking tasks into smaller steps, visual examples, providing extra times, using checklists, and providing examples of carrying out physical tasks can be really important forms of support. And also reducing physical demands, so for example, allowing typing or using speech-to-text software instead of dictation rather than handwriting. There's so many solutions of how we can support children and adults with dyspraxia. But the single most powerful thing in my experience is allowing children and adults to feel loved, supported and cared for, irrespective of how their brain works. Because understanding that just because your brain works differently does not mean that you are worse. With this true understanding and in a supportive, neuro-inclusive environment, children and adults can absolutely thrive. When parents and children understand this, it changes how we advocate for ourselves. And when schools and workplaces understand this, it really changes how people advocate for themselves. And this can transform the support that's actually around them, creating a more neuro-inclusive space. I often say that as long as you have a brain, you can be excellent. But the reality is, the systems need to be placed for people to prove it. Understanding dyspraxia at any age, at any background, is part of building a neuro-inclusive society with fairer chances for everybody. It starts with awareness, but it grows through honest and transparent conversations, and continues when people like you and I share what we have learned with others. Thank you so much for watching, and if this has helped, please share it with somebody who may not have heard of dyspraxia before, because there are a lot of families and adults that need to hear about it. Thank you.